because the only reason we're late because Bobby was late, and I had to figure out some technical difficulties that would have been figured out if Bobby hadn't been late.
But to be fair, 2 minutes late is more than on time in Spencer time.
Hey, I was in the lobby a minute early.
I was sitting here for the last 15 minutes waiting on you dipshits.
Actually, you sent me the link
I had to shower
7 minutes ago.
Bad.
Shit.
Whatever.
I caught a first today.
Oh, did you?
Where do I want to go with this?
I caught a raccoon that looked like a normal.
Options.
He looked like a normal raccoon when I kayaked up to him.
Okay.
Flip him over, and he was the color of like a golden retriever. Like his belly fur was red.
So like blonde. So he's strawberry blonde. The carpet didn't match the drapes.
It did not. That was a first for me.
That's pretty
what
neat, though.
Podcast is this?
I don't know.
I think it still says RC podcast number 1.
It says number 14, and then I added the caveat, I think.
Oh.
It just always says number 1 because this is the best podcast ever. What's
a caveat?
A caveat is just like an additional detail that adds clarity.
Caviar that went bad.
Thank you for the caveat.
Educate yourself.
Thank you. The human dictionary.
I'm not a human dictionary. I'm just not an idiot. Most of the
I mean, if I was a betting man.
So anyway, Bobby, you said you were going to bring supremely interesting talking points.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So in Virginia, they had proposed a bill, and it got all the way through the governor, and currently there's a limit on blue catfish, and you can only keep one over 32 inches a day. They proposed a bill to remove that. The legislation did, to where you could keep as many big catfish, blue catfish as you want, no matter how big they are. And the governor vetoed it. So,
cool.
There were a bunch of us that were, advocating, and we thought it was done. We thought that he was going to go for it, and he didn't. So I guess a big talking point with me is like, is this a step in the right direction? But also, like, what are the restrictions where you guys are from? Like, are there any restrictions on blue catfish out there?
No, because Iowa, there are no blue catfish.
Well,
yeah, just on the border.
Yeah.
Or like other places that you've been. Like you noticed that the trophy, like the best fisheries that you guys have been to for blue catfish had some sort of regulation.
Kansas came around finally.
All right, so here I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit. Can you think of a place that has implemented a fishing regulation where the fishing has gotten noticeably better?
I mean, that's a long-term goal. You're not going to see it in 5 years.
But I mean, it's just a question though. Have you?
I haven't been in the fishing for blue catfish long enough to know what it was like before the regulation.
It doesn't have to be blue cats. It could be anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything in nature takes time. So, I mean, I think as far as the research goes, you just try to give them the best ability they can to make trophy fish, especially places that bring in money from trophy fish. So you just got to get the best chance they can.
No, I kind of get that, but
You're saying, does it make that much of a difference?
I'm kind of I'm not anti-regulation, but I'm not pro-regulation. I'm what makes sense. And my problem with some of the regulations, either for or against the I say for or against regulating fish or not regulating fish is a lot of them aren't science based.
Right.
Like there's a population that pushes really hard for something, either for the regulation or to remove regulations, and it's just the lawmakers sign it one way or the other just because of public opinion.
Welcome to the U.S. government.
Right.
We have lobbyists for a reason.
Right. I just wish they were actually like based on some good hard data that supports one way or the other.
Yeah. But I don't think the
problem
money
is they don't let you do a lot of the bodies like bugs. You're not allowed to tag fish at bugs.
Why not?
They won't. The VDNR won't let you.
Are you talking about Joe Schmo angler tagging fish, or are you talking about fisheries biologists tagging fish?
Like they're as far as I know recreational anglers can, but as far as I know, they like nobody can for whatever reason.
I have a hard time imagining that a state managed waterway doesn't allow state officials to conduct fisheries research on
Like
it.
I said, I don't know for sure about them, but I can tell you that I know recreational anglers aren't, and I've never seen anybody out there tagging. Nor have I caught a tagged fish out there. I have caught a tagged fish at the James.
I don't know.
In Iowa, if it's not a deer, it doesn't matter. So there's not money going to many researches involving fish.
No, unfortunately not. I don't know. Just making. Well, I just don't want a regulation that's unnecessary. Like, if there's some fisheries out there, I'm sure if you kept some 50-pound blue cats, it'd probably be better for it. Yeah. But who knows which one that is, because is there any evidence supporting that that's a good idea?
Yeah, and before you just start nailing 50s out of there and it changes the biomass percentage, then you're screwed. You're like, oh, that didn't work.
Well, I would rather lean on the side of caution myself, but
yeah,
I mean, I would also like to just get it right.
Well, some of the comments coming in are about blue cats in Iowa are considered an invasive species.
No, they're not.
But there is something to introducing an animal into an environment that they just explode. You know,
well,
like
so
Iowa's doing.
Iowa stocked a couple places with blue cats, and they're doing okay. Like 3 Miles got blues in it, and I think Icaria had blues put in it.
But they're captive. They can't spread out.
No, those are like their own, and they're not a system. They're just small. They're technically reservoirs, but they're small creeks, so the blue cats aren't gonna like spread outside of that. But Derek was saying the Maryland, the Department of Maryland Resources, they're invasive.
Invasive.
So essentially, he's talking about. Derek's talking a lot about, like in Virginia, they introduced them to the James, all the rivers out there.
Yeah, well, that's fun. That is funny that they call them invasive when they're the ones who stocked them.
Yeah, that's what we're all. That's what we're all like. Y'all are the ones who put them in there.
That didn't go right.
It went too well.
And you do hear of that, where like wipers.
Why are we mad?
Like wipers in certain areas, they stock them in there and they just go bananas.
Yeah, but they can't reproduce. So if you put 600 in, you're gonna have some of them die off. So you're gonna be sub 600.
Yeah,
and you
can't reproduce.
No, they're hybrid. That's why they call them hybrids. They're sterile, like a
grass carp.
No, grass carp. They genetically, they genetically modify them to make them sterile. Which, all right. So speaking of grass carp, I was fishing the other day, if you can believe it, and
no.
I saw this fish swimming along the shore that was massive with his back sticking out of the water. Well, I had my cast net beside me and I needed bait. And I'm like, that looks like a carp. So
that's like 8 days worth of bait.
Right. So I moseyed my way on over there and kind of, just being quiet, looking at it, doing the little side to side head movements, to get different views, and saw it was a carp, threw my net on it, and then it splashed, and it was this like 40-pound grass carp that looked like a squiggle. Like his back was all like humpity up, messed up.
So many grass carp like that, especially when they get big.
Yeah, he was big, and he had the squiggle back.
So is that like I see a lot of fish like that. Is that like an actual like deformity or like an injury?
It's a deformity of some kind, whether it's genetic or like environmental. I don't know, but it's something wrong with them.
Yeah. I see a lot of largemouth like that too.
I feel like if you were a fish, Bobby, that's what you'd look like.
I knew that.
Yo,
I knew that was coming. I was just thinking, I was like,
I don't know if it's genetic or environmental, but that boy's messed up.
It's because I've been watching the River Certified podcast.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
Well, you're only one of 5, so you're in good company.
Yeah, but back to the regulations. Like, I like killing fish. I like eating fish. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But as far as how many you should be able to keep and how big or how small or whatever, like, I just want that to be based on evidence that would support that it's good for the overall fishery.
Yeah.
No, and that makes sense.
But the chance of that research getting done is slim to none.
Well, it's going to take forever too. It'll be like a 10-year study, and by then the fishery is destroyed, or maybe it's not. I don't know.
But then we just took 50s out for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would err on the side of caution while research is being done to suggest whether it should or shouldn't be. But I don't know.
At the James, I think we all agree, there needs to be some sort of population control for the smaller fish. Like, you take away some of the overpopulation of smaller fish, and that can help the population of big fish because it's less competitive for food and, more space for them to live and whatnot.
Well, but it's all speculation. That's my thing. It's like, I just don't want it to be speculation. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's true.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you say some smart stuff every once in a while, but you're not very smart. So
no. That's a proven fact.
Right. See, that's science.
That's science. Oh my gosh!
What else?
Are trying to catch a fish at bugs. It's a fact that it.
I caught one. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you did. More than one fish at bugs. And you basically caught that fish because you picked the spot, you did everything, and I just tagged along. So that's your fish, not my fish. No, that's your fish.
No, you were the guide that day.
New discussion point. You guys are both guides.
Okay.
All right. And I think we touched on this in the last podcast that I was on. What is your opinion on, if you put a client on a fish could you, by the same logic, would you consider that their fish?
I consider it both people's fish.
Yeah.
Because you picked the spot and you caught the bait and all that, but he's got to hook it, he's got to fight it, and he's got to get us the boat. Right. So that takes skill too.
Yeah.
So I consider it. I will solidly ride the fence and say it's both parties' fish.
Channel catting is a lot of we got a good one, or we skunked, or it's more of a group than, let's say, bass fishing.
Right.
And I think one of the bigger parts of bass fishing is working a lure to entice a bite is different than casting bait and letting it sit on the bottom.
And waiting or dragging.
Because if I go walleye fishing with somebody, there's a handful of guys I have a hard time out fishing. Doesn't matter where we're at, what we're doing. And when I catch as many or more than them, it's a a really good day because it doesn't happen very often. And it's not because we're in different spots. We're in the same damn spot. They're just better at getting the things to eat than I am.
Yeah.
Or catfishing ain't like that, you know?
Yeah, they're hungry. They're going to eat.
Yeah. Hooking the fish.
You could, yeah, that is true. But also, like, even with catfishing, I mean, the same principle. You got to get the fish to bite. You know, maybe, you know, whether it's anchored, dragging, you know.
But your presentation, as far as anchored, you're not presenting it to entice him to fish.
You're not doing anything with the rod or reel.
Yeah, you're just giving him the opportunity by putting it in his house.
Yeah.
I will say boat control makes a difference, but that's on the guide. That's not on the angler. It's everything leading up to the bite, I would say, is on the guide, and then everything after the bite, other than the net job, is on the angler. So it just becomes it's both people's fish.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Have you knocked the fish off, Spencer, on a guide trip?
Not yet. It'll happen someday. But I will say I got a new net coming. I'm pretty excited about it.
Awesome. What do you get?
One of them RS nets.
Hopefully you don't break this one.
It's got a lifetime warranty.
They made a shitty deal on that one.
Oh yeah, it's like me going into the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, man. I'm getting my money's worth.
Why are you here for an hour?
Yeah. We had an eating so in high school, Thursday nights before football games, we'd go eat at like some buffet or some restaurant of some kind, like the Chinese buffet, or there was like an all-you-could-eat taco night at one restaurant. I don't remember where, but we would always do we started doing eating competitions, but I just dominated, so everybody threw in the towel after like 2 or 3 tries.
How are you not like 800 pounds?
You should go fishing with me sometime. Then you would understand.
Been fishing with you.
But you were doing the fishing. I was just tagging along. Like if you hopped in the boat or if you went, especially kayak fishing, man, like you burn so many calories doing that. And then you mix a little weightlifting in there and then the other side.
And he's still a baby. That doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, I'm still a growing boy.
I don't want to hear it.
But yeah, you do all that and yeah, you burn some calories, man.
No, I feel that.
Oh, and I guess
I do know you can eat.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
You eat a lot healthier than a lot of people.
Maybe somewhat.
Kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Well, I don't eat donuts.
I don't know how healthy fried fish is, but that's a staple.
I only eat fried fish like once or twice a month. Maybe 3 times.
Like, okay.
It's more during the summer than after the summer. I don't eat it as much.
Yeah. I only eat it once a fishing trip because I fish every day.
Frank's Red Hot sales go up in the summertime and down in the wintertime.
We should totally do a fried fish eating competition, and then we all die of mercury poisoning. I guess you won.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. What else is on the docket, Bobby?
Oh man, there's anything that you guys want.
No, you said you had talking points.
I'm leading up to it. You can't just put me on the spot like that. You know I get nervous.
All right.
He peed a little. Leave him alone.
Do your segue.
Okay. All right. You know, obviously
okay.
I talked about y'all being guides. Would y'all ever consider guiding saltwater?
No.
I don't know anything about it. I've never fished in saltwater ever. If someone would pay me to take them saltwater fishing, they have no brains and too much money.
Well, I mean, like learning how to do it. Like,
and most people I know only have no brains.
Oh, is that why you're friends with me?
Who said we're friends?
I'm just his assistant.
Why the saltwater thing? My
Okay.
reason, here's my reason why, and then we'll go down that road. My reason I wouldn't guide saltwater is um, being on, like, I've been around saltwater enough where it's just, that's a real grind, man. Like the wind, the waves, beating you up, and then the maintenance of equipment. Like you go fishing and the work starts when the trip's over, man. Like you got to clean everything. And then your overhead's so high because all of the equipment's more expensive and it doesn't last as long, even if you clean the crap out of it. And then you still got the bait catching to go along with it. And I don't know, man, it's just like super time and physically demanding. And the fishing's neat, don't get me wrong, but I just really enjoy the, like, I managed to make catfishing complicated lots of ways, but it's way simpler than saltwater fishing.
Yeah.
Well, someday you do need to guide me at a shark fishing adventure.
Don't say when, bud.
We need to get out. That's something I don't even care if I catch one. I just want to see the process because it seems like there's a lot of suck involved. So I think I'd enjoy it.
Not with
down
drones.
Not with drones.
No, we use the aqua cat.
Dude, the shark fishing I've experienced the last 2 years is so easy compared to how it used to be. It's not even funny.
Brian said, "Do you ever use all those poles behind me?" Every one of them.
Yeah, he's got a shop on eBay if you want to go.
Do I catch fish on them? That's a different story. But yes, I do use them. I do use them. Well, I only asked the saltwater thing because I feel like there's so many more. You can target so many different species and you can do so many different things. So like saltwater, you've got seasons where they run inshore, but I guess you could say the same argument for catfish, they bite you around, but you can just try so many different things.
You can do the same damn thing in
catfish.
You can do the same thing in freshwater.
There's so many more different species and opportunities out there. Like you could go out and go target tuna, or you could go in and target speckled trout.
Nobody does that. You have giant offshore boats that go offshore, or you have inshore boats and bay boats that go inshore.
Listen, the Big Rock a couple years ago was won by a daggum outboard.
Outboard?
Yeah, a small boat with an outboard, smaller boat. Anyway,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The Big Rock, the biggest marlin fishing tournament in the world.
Yeah, and the Twisted Cats Point Championship was won by two kids in a 1652 John boat on the Mississippi River. It's the same damn thing, different story.
But what I'm saying is you don't need those all the time. Need those real giant yacht-sized boats to go target a tuna or a marlin.
If you're gonna guide, you do.
Well, yeah.
Come on in, boys. I don't know if we're gonna make it, but
yeah.
Let's pay up front, please.
That's just like
here.
That's just like saying you don't need
Spencer, where in the heck are you? Nobody can see you.
It's dark. I'm outside. But anyway, what you just said is like saying that you don't need a monster cat to guide catfish. You can catch them out of a 16-foot John boat on the James River. And you could, except when the wind's blowing 20 upriver and there's 3-footers. So if you're guiding, you better be able to do that.
I mean, yeah.
It's the same thing. And you're like, well, in saltwater, you can do all these stuff. Well, you can do a bunch of stuff in freshwater, just people don't. Neither do people in saltwater.
Yeah. I just feel like it'd be cool to be able to do both.
But you can do a lot of, that's the thing, man. Like, familiarity is such a son of a bitch because you get, well, you like think of you take things for granted.
No,
like
yeah.
If you look at a river, let's say, I'll say a river I'm familiar with, like the Des Moines River. It's got flatheads in it. It's got channel cats in it. It's got hybrid stripers in it. It's got walleyes in it. It's got smallmouth bass in it. And those are just the first ones that come to mind. And you can, on any given day, you can go out and target all of them.
Yeah.
People don't, though. Like, people are like, I'm a cat fisherman or I'm a bass fisherman. I'm like, go fish for them all, man. It's fun.
It is, because there's always something to be caught.
Yeah, fish the conditions. Like, if it rains and it's muddy, like, I'm going catfishing. If it hasn't rained for a while and there's a little clarity, I might still go catfishing, but then I might go fish for some other stuff or keep a spin pole in the boat, because even if it is muddy, if you drive by a creek where there's clear water dumping into the mud,
starts popping.
Well, that's where the wipers are going to be. The walleyes are going to be, and that's sometimes where you get them epic days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever get bored of doing the same thing?
I never do the same thing. I'm sitting.
I meant like guiding wise.
I never do the same thing guiding. Like the last trip, we anchor fish for catfish, but the trip before that, we started the day out chasing white bass. Then we switched to hybrid stripers and smallmouth, and then they're like, "Well, I want to catch a big catfish now." So then we threw out some cat rods and caught some blue cats.
That's fair.
I'm an equal opportunist. Like, put fish in the boat.
That's right.
Yeah. Especially
in the
fishing.
You catch fish, Spencer?
Not when I'm guiding.
I sure hope not. Do you ever have clients that like request that you like catch one yourself?
Oh, all the time. It's honestly surprising. I always tell them the same thing. It's like, you're paying a good chunk of money for this trip, and you didn't pay to watch me reel them in. You can watch that on YouTube if you want. Like,
this might be the only bite we get all day.
Right. Like, I'm here for them. So that's, and I'm honestly just as happy watching people reel them in. Except you. I want to catch more fish than you, Bobby.
Well, you've caught more than me because you're old as dirt.
That's not why.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, we're all wrong sometimes.
Well, I mean, kind of going back a little bit, like how you guys have been fishing for a lot, catfishing a lot longer than I have. But how, in general, like, have you seen the fishing get better or worse over the years?
Depends on water levels around here.
That does seem to be the biggest thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, where do they go?
I don't know.
Because they got to be in the water.
Yeah.
Why can't you catch them sometimes?
That is a very key part of their survival.
But
in the water.
There's some portions that there's a 300-yard stretch where they could be, because it's 6 inches below it and 6 inches above it. They can't get out.
Right.
And you just don't see the fish, like with your fish finders, or you don't get any bites, or it's like they just freaking disappear.
Well,
and then it rains.
Levels going down and just leave the area before it gets too shallow.
They don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, we probably the last 4 years we've had, I'd say, less than a dozen holes in a 3-hour area that fish could live. The rest of it, you could walk across and not get your knees wet.
Yeah, and then the water comes up and it's like, bang, the river's alive again. It's like rain breathes life into the river, and I don't know. I don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Maybe it gets them moving. When the water's low, they don't move, or maybe they don't have to move to eat, and then the water's up, and suddenly they got to go find their food, and then they run across our baits more. Then I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but
I would say, as far as quality of fishing goes, it's like year to year. It's not even like the fishery's getting any better or any worse. It just seems to be year to year. It's good or bad.
Or either in even spring and fall. Like sometimes it's lights out in the spring, then you go post spawn and it's tough.
Ryan, have you ever had like a year that was completely good beginning to end?
No.
I haven't either, and it's funny because you'll start the year off and like pre-spawn.
You're like, this is the best year ever.
Yeah, and then it just goes to shit. You know?
August comes and you're like, where'd they go?
Right. And then you'll have years that are the opposite. Like it just starts off terrible for reasons unbeknownst to me, and then suddenly you get on this like late summer fall bite that just pops off.
Yeah. And we can usually count on at least one of those happening.
Yeah. Seth asked a good question, Ryan. Do you think there's a possibility a lot of the fish are new fish and a lot die with like the droughts and stuff?
I think there's a lot of that, especially up here where I live, not where I fish.
Yeah.
But when you're catching 40 to 50-pound fish, they're not new. They survived somewhere.
Right. That was my exact thought too. Like, sure, maybe if they're 10-pounders, like some die off and the 10-pounders are new, but they don't just like they're not 40 pounds after a year, you know, like it takes them a while to get there. It would be really neat.
How often does the water get high enough to where they can move around again freely?
It is right now, actually.
Yeah, I've been keeping tabs on it. There's good water in there right now.
Yeah, it's over 1,000 around me.
I think it's over 2,000 down in Des Moines.
Yeah, I could see that. But
that's the thing. That's one of the problems with Iowa is the water levels vary so much that there is no normal. Normal is
they've literally got a week. If we don't get rain, they have a week to move or they're screwed. They're stuck wherever they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Does the wouldn't the oxygen level get to dangerous levels there then?
Yes. I mean, the last probably 2 to possibly 3 summers in the fall, there's like a green sludge on top of the water because there's no current pushing the pesticides and stuff away.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's gross.
He said that's awesome.
No, I don't think there's as much die off as you probably think though, because like the walleyes survive and they're the most finicky of all of them. But then again, the walleyes in your neck of the woods, well, there's decent walleye fishing up there too. So like if they're surviving, the mortality rate, it's got to be higher on them than channels and flatheads.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
But would a walleye be able to survive in skinnier water than, let's say, a 40-pounder?
I would think not, because
no?
the walleyes are susceptible to high water temps, and that skinny water gets so hot, and they still make it. The catfish don't care. It could be 90-degree water, and they're just smiling down there.
Yeah,
you know?
They're one of the only fish that their metabolism just keeps amping up as the water heats up.
Yeah.
Do you think they just bury themselves in the mud?
Flatheads don't like mud.
If you were water 89, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Flatheads, their optimal water temperature is the highest of any freshwater fish in Iowa.
Yeah. I've read up on that too.
They prefer water temps in the upper 70s, low 80s. So, like July, it's baking hot. They're just loving life.
Oh yeah, they're just in free killing zones.
Oh man, imagine how many like carp die in July and August. That's got to be like peak carp dying time.
But do carp not like the warm water?
No, the flatheads do, and that's when they're eating the most. So they're mowing down more big baits than, or I say bait. they're eating them whether they're on a hook or not.
Yeah.
So is that your favorite time to throw a big bait?
Probably end of July through the beginning of September. It's my favorite time to throw. Like, if you can cast it, they'll eat it. And if you can't cast it, they would still probably eat it.
You just walk it out.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna try
What
to do more of that this summer. Like, make a conscious point to bring night crawlers just to catch a big bait while we're out there.
Yeah. So you don't have
catch
to keep it
carp
in the
on
bait
night
tank.
crawlers?
What's that, Bobby?
Do you catch carp on night crawlers?
I don't. There's 99% of the carp I've caught have been on night crawlers.
Really?
Bobby, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, no shit.
I've got this little
He's like
hoodie string, and I'm just
I'm
acting
fiddling
like
around
I'm
over
fly
there.
fishing. I'm practicing my fly fishing.
Are we doing you, Bobby?
acting like a dipshit. Like, carp eat worms? What?
I've never caught a carp on a worm.
Yeah,
Have you
that's almost, I would say probably at least 90% of the carp I caught.
Yeah.
I've
Ryan?
never caught a carp on a worm.
Ryan, have you ever caught a carp on anything other than a worm?
Corn,
Yep.
crickets.
Okay.
Cricket?
I think that's about it.
I caught a carp on a blade of grass. Yeah.
While you're fly fishing?
No, okay. So I was in Tampa, Florida, visiting my uncle, and it was in like a pond in his neighborhood. It was a grass carp, and I didn't know what it was. So I asked my.
Well, that makes sense. A grass carp eats grass.
Technically,
it'd be some real bullshit if they didn't eat grass.
I said, Uncle Bobby, I said, what do those fish eat? And he said, I've seen them eating the grass trimmings after, that they mow the lawns. The grass gets in the pond. He said, I've seen them come up and feed on the grass. So I took a blade of grass off from right below me and put that son of a gun on a hook. And I'll be damned if he didn't eat it.
Did he have a humpback?
It was like a 30-inch grass carp.
Did he have a humpback?
No. He wasn't stupid like me.
So the only
he did eat a blade of grass with a hook in it, so he won top tier.
He's not. He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, I guess.
Could you guys hear that car getting active behind me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure how far the audio traveled on the phone. No, the only other bait I've caught a carp on other than night crawlers is shad.
You caught a carp on shad?
I've caught multiple carp on shad. Like probably 3 or 4.
Like in the mouth?
I mean, how else would they eat it? I don't think they don't have the ability to stick it up their butt or anything. So.
I meant like.
That reminds me.
What does that remind you of, Spencer?
I'm tuning off right now.
So,
what does that remind you of, Spencer?
Have you ever been fishing and had like catfishing and then snagged a fish with a bait that's just sitting on the bottom?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I snagged a blue cat in the butt with a circle hook while anchor fishing. How did that happen? With the circle hook too.
Well, he had an itchy butthole and he was backing up on it. a little close.
Yeah.
I think most of the time that happens, it's when the fish is going for the bait and they just miss it.
What do you mean most of the time? That's happened to me one time in my life.
The old blue cat butthole fish.
Yeah, and I fish like 200 days a year, and that's happened to me once in my whole life.
Most times that it would happen in the general. I don't even know where I was going with that, but
how can you apply most of the time to a once in a lifetime experience?
It's happened to more than just you, though.
It's like he's practicing bowling.
Yeah.
I'm practicing my fly fishing, dadgummit.
Well, you got some work to do from what I see.
I never said I was good at it.
The more important question was how big was that takedown when that hook pierced his butt?
He put all 2.5 pounds of weight into it and really made the pole dance a little. That was about it.
So he wasn't big.
No, he was like 2 or 3 pounds probably is all.
What is the biggest or the smallest fish you caught on the biggest bait?
Caught like a 2 or 3 pound flathead on a bluegill that was probably 7 to 9 inches long. Like he had like the gill plates and maybe one of the spines on his dorsal fin was like wedged in his mouth. He never had the hook.
Just couldn't let go.
I never knew he was on there. I reeled in to leave and he was just there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was
What
weird.
about you, Ryan?
I don't recall anything, but I mean, big baits always get hammered or picked. So something little's freaking chewing on them.
I guess I was fishing 4 or 5 years ago and had. I can't remember if it wasn't me. It was my buddy Eric, and he caught a flathead that couldn't have been longer than 12 or 13 inches, and it ate like a 7 or 8 inch shad.
Wow.
And we didn't. It was another one you didn't know he was on there, but he was gut hooked.
Oh, we got it down, or at least knocked it off.
The shad was hooked in the nose, and it swallowed it head first, and the hook was down in his throat, and the shad was hanging out of his mouth. I had a picture of it on my last phone, or maybe 2 phones ago. It was a long time ago.
Probably the one you lost in the river.
It might have been. It really might have been.
That's funny. No, I've had channel cats take whole gizzards before.
Now that I think about it, I caught a 21 or 22 inch walleye, and it ate a creek chub no shorter than 10 inches long.
Holy crap.
That was I was flathead fishing, and the line just kind of kept slacking up, and I ended up reeling it in, and there's like a 3 pound, 4 pound walleye on there.
Like, oh, dinner's taken care of.
Exactly.
What's the limit on walleye?
5, any size on interior Iowa rivers.
Unless you change your hoodie and go back and documented.
I'm sure it's been done.
I was at a lake up in northwestern Iowa when Garrett was, I don't know, he's probably 8 to 10. And we went up and hit the spring walleye bite because you can get them on slip bobber and minnow right off the bank, like left and right.
Yeah.
But most of them were the 12 to 14 inchers, but we're just having fun catching them. And the DNR did catch somebody that had, they caught him. I think the DNR said he was on his 4th limit.
Oh, wow.
He would come down, catch his limit, take him to the truck, change clothes, go back down, and they watched him 4 times before they finally busted him.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I don't have the audacity to think I can pull that off.
No.
Nor would I want to keep 20, 12-inch walleye.
Yeah.
Do you have like a personal limit for yourself? Like you won't keep a walleye smaller than whatever?
What's that?
I'd probably 16.
That's a good keeper. My size limit varies based on how hungry I am, but generally I'd say 15, but it'll dip down to 14 if I get a real fat one and I really
kind of low, slow.
like, especially if I caught one that was like 17 or 18 and then I'm struggling, and then I smack a 14. I'm like, well, the fillet knife's already coming out, so.
So you won't keep one under 14.
I've kept, the smallest one I ever kept was 13.5, and that was the morning of the Super Bowl ice fishing when we were planning on having a fish fry, and we caught a handful of little ones, and he was the fattest of the little ones, and I'm like, well, bud, we got things we got to do, so
So
you're coming to the party.
the short straw got pulled.
Yeah, and that's the smallest one I've ever kept, but for the most part, 15. And hell, half the time I won't even keep a 15. I like that 16 to 20-inch range. Those are,
Yeah.
and the difference in the amount of meat you get on a 16 versus a 20 is substantial.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, or the difference between a 13 and a 15, you get twice as much meat on a 15 than that 13, or you get twice as much meat on a 20 than you do a 16.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you clean some of those, like you said, even the 14s, 15s, you clean them, and I mean, it's kind of like a big crappie fillet.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum size that you'll keep?
It depends on where I'm at. If I'm at Lake Erie, I usually keep them up to 26. If I'm at my Iowa rivers, 20 to 22 is probably tops.
I've butchered some 25-inch Iowa walleyes. They taste good, man.
They do. They do. And they're stocked. They're not
Yep.
they're not frickin' breeding.
Yeah, it's one of them things. If there was a science-based reason for me to not do it, I wouldn't do it. I've only killed a couple of them like that, but
Good.
but they taste the same. It's not like a 25-incher doesn't taste as good as a 15, because they do.
Yeah. That's a lot of people's argument about flathead too.
Yeah, that's wrong. Like any fishiness that you have in fish is from that mud line.
Yeah.
With that being said, I won't kill a big one, but a lot of that's just because logically, not science founded, but logically it makes sense that to kill a fish that takes 20 to 25 years to get that big, it's going to take another 20 to 25 years for that fish to be replaced. So
Yeah.
I don't want to wait that long. I want to catch them again.
I'm not gonna be able to move in another 20 to 25 years.
Right.
Have y'all ever caught the same fish twice?
Yeah.
I'm about 100% sure that Spencer and I caught the same fish 4 days apart.
That's pretty positive, Ryan. 100%.
Yeah, well,
Say.
it had a same dark mark right behind its head, and we caught it within 100 yards of each other.
Yeah, I think it's the same fish too. I just give me a hard time.
And they were both 44, like almost on the dot.
Yeah, they weighed the exact same. They looked the same, and they're from the same area 4 days apart. There's a real good chance
that they were twins. We caught twins.
Yeah, they had the same odd black mark on their back. Yeah, it is kind of neat, to do that. They were caught totally different ways too. Like I caught mine on a small chunk of shad in the middle of the day, and you caught. How'd you get yours again?
I forget the bait, but I was sleeping on my boat right below that log jam that's just around the bend.
Right below that tree that I threw like 7 bullheads in.
And maybe that's what got her to go to that tree, because you were shaking it all afternoon.
Maybe. It was well chummed with the bullhead tree. It was the bullhead tree. They're just falling out of it.
What did you keep casting in bullheads?
Yeah, because I wanted to put it in front of this log that was in the water, and I was trying to.
Turns out that was a good place to have a bait.
Yeah. Had that vibe.
Yeah, I was dead asleep. Him and another buddy of ours went out on my boat. That might have been the first trip on that boat. I think it was.
Sounds right.
So they both had something to do that night. So I dropped them off at the boat ramp. I went back to camp on the boat and went to sleep. And probably 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up to my rod just getting annihilated and reeled in that same 44 that Spencer caught 4 days before that.
Yeah, that was a damn nice fish.
I'd like to see her again.
What's the biggest walleye y'all have ever caught?
I caught 32 and a quarter, but it was Lake Erie.
That's still crazy.
Yeah.
And not 8.5 minutes before that, I caught a 29.
Dang.
It was.
They're like that at Lake Erie?
It's stupid.
It's like the Mississippi, lower Mississippi for blue cats. Like you're just going to catch giants and lots of them.
Yeah.
Although
you can keep 7 per person per day with no limit on what you take home. And you could catch your limit in an hour, probably, depending on the day. But normally, you catch about 7 fish per person in an hour.
It just sucks that you have to troll for them.
Yeah.
Like
And you probably don't have to, but that's what we do.
But if I catch a walleye, I want to catch them on some gear where I can actually fight them a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the river fishing, throwing a jig, and because they don't fight that great. So I want to catch them on like 6-pound line. And I want to feel them thump the crap out of that jig. So that's the best part.
No, the best part is, did you read Seth's comment?
Which one?
He lost a fish with a pink grippers attached. Went back a week later and caught the fish with the gripper still attached.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Ooh, Troy Gustafson, he lives by the Mississippi River, and he's like a side imaging nerd. And he found a whole bunch of flathead wintering holes over there. So he went back with his underwater camera and was looking at them with the underwater camera, and there was one flathead that was dragging a bank pole around.
Oh, geez.
I was like,
you see the name on the tag?
Right. Tell that guy to put a little extra mustard into it when he shoves it in the bank next time.
A bigger hammer.
Right. It does make me cringe a little bit when there's a fish toting something around, like whether it's grips or a bank pole or every time I let a fish go by the grips, I always think about that and like squeeze extra hard.
Yeah.
My buddy Jay did it in Kansas. First time I took him to Kansas.
Which one?
Jay Goffner.
Oh, good. I'll have to give him a hard time.
Yeah. He just pretty much just threw it in with the grip still attached. And then was like, oh.
Oh, it didn't slip. He just tossed it in.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That sounds like Jay. That's hilarious.
That sounds like something Spencer would do.
No, it doesn't. I've literally never done anything like that. That sounds like something Bobby would do, if we're being real.
I would have to catch a fish for that.
What would Bobby do?
Bobby would let the grip slip out of my hand.
Spencer would try and net it, and the net would break.
I netted it. I tried to lift it in the boat, and the net broke. That's what happens when you catch big fish, Bobby. Not that you would understand.
You did say that was what, like a 70?
It's probably 65 to 70 would be my guess.
The old net breaker.
Yep.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I'm pretty jacked about this next one because it extends out to like 6 feet. So we can reach out and get them.
So he can lose more net.
You might be able to get shad with that.
I might try, depending on the spot.
That's crazy.
We'll just drive around with it in the water 6 feet down.
If you're man enough to hold that 6 foot down, I won't ever say a bad word to you in my life because you whoop my ass.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, there ain't nobody on.
Way?
What's that?
The new net.
That don't like I don't know. It doesn't weigh too much for me to net fish with it.
Weighs 73 pounds with a 70-pounder in it.
That'd be perfect.
It weighs 5 pounds with including the fish Spencer catches.
Mm. You've seen the fish I caught. You've seen the fish I've caught in the last 2 days, Bobby.
I don't want to talk about it.
I think I broke your personal best like a dozen times in the last month.
Yeah, you got a hog. What day was that? Monday?
He got a hog yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Oh,
dude, it took me a solid 45 seconds to figure out what day it was on the drive over here. Like I was like, is it Tuesday or is it?
so you've been in what? 3
Friday.
states in the past 2 days?
I mean, I've driven, so I fished in 2 states in the past 4 days, and I'll be on state number 3 tomorrow.
So, are you given locations like states? Can we talk about them?
Yeah, so I fished in Alabama, and then I fished in Louisiana yesterday and this morning, and then I drove to Texas. I'm at Texas now.
Was that your first time in Louisiana?
No, second.
Second?
But
I've always wanted to go down there. Is it something special?
It could be. I'm not positive yet. The Mississippi's something special down there, but I don't know about the smaller waters, so that's what I was checking out. But
well, you hung a 50 in the first 15 minutes, so
yeah, but we didn't catch
PB in the first day. It is what it is.
But we didn't catch anything else, so I don't know. No blue cats. That was what surprised me. So additional testing required.
How many fishing licenses do you have?
Dude, that's a good question.
None. I got 0.
Yeah. I'm an outlaw. I'm a fishing outlaw.
The only license I carry is my marriage license.
So I got Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Florida. I feel like I'm missing one. I'll have a Wisconsin one before the year's over. Probably Minnesota.
So currently you have 7.
I think I have 7 right now.
Yeah. I've got 3.
That's not bad seeing how it's March.
Right.
I got 3.
I am the gypsy angler.
The gypsy angler.
My buddy Chris called me that like last year or 2 years ago, and I'm like, that fits. That makes sense.
Instead of licenses, he just buys houses. He's just gonna have houses all over the nation.
God, that would be cool. If I ever win the lottery, see, if I ever win the lottery, you'll look at my house and be like, that's just a house. But what you won't know is I own 12 of them.
Yeah. And counting.
And counting. Like, oh, the fishing's pretty good there. Buying a house.
Well, you got to pay someone to live in the house and go fish so they can give you a fishing report every day.
Yeah, well, and a groundskeeper.
Ryan will be the groundskeeper.
Yeah, he's number one. Like I already got his resume. I just got to win the lottery.
Come on, damn it!
My problem with winning the lottery is I don't play, and that's a requirement. Yeah,
I buy one about every twice a year, 3 times a year when it's like stupid big, where all of us are going to retire type money.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I ended up buying boats instead of lottery tickets. It's kind of offset a little bit from an expense standpoint, but make it work.
That's why I'd buy with the winnings anyway. So
exactly.
We'd all buy boats.
Ryan, did I send you the picture of my boat today?
No.
I'll send it to you once we're done, but it's It's pretty much built. It's painted. It's got its windshield on and all that shit. And then it just doesn't have the motor hung or on the trailer yet. But it should be done in a couple weeks, and I'm jacked.
How far out is your foot for the jet?
Oh, I didn't tell you I got it?
No.
I've got it like 3 months ago. Troy Gustafson, the guy who I was telling you found the flathead with the bank pole.
Yeah.
He was asking me about it, and I told him my problem. He said, "Why don't you just look around at dealerships and see if somebody has one they'll sell you?" Like, that's a great idea. So he helped me find one at a dealership in Michigan. I called them, they sold it to me, and they shipped it right to the dealership that I'm buying the boat from.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, so it's been sitting at the dealership for like 2 months.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I owe Troy big time.
That's ideal.
Yeah, it doesn't work out no better because otherwise I would have waited till August.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed all of pre-spawn.
Yeah, and I was all worried too because it was one of those like, well, it'll be so hard to sell my boat in August. Well, turns out I can't even sell it now, so it doesn't matter.
He said, "Joke's on y'all."
Joke's on y'all.
Well, if that lottery thing comes around, we're just keeping it because that's a badass boat.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Ryan said he wants it.
Who wants it?
Ryan.
Oh yeah, I want it. I just wish I had room for it.
Well, when you buy the new house, maybe you will.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'll buy cabins and just like little shitty cabins, and then put like a big storage building next to them. Is the way to do it.
Yeah, I just live in the storage building. I'm just gonna have an RV and a bunch of Morton buildings all throughout the nation, and I'll just RV to them and pull right in and hook up.
That ain't. You know, I looked into that. That ain't much cheaper. Like Barn Dominiums, Ella found one. There was a website that was advertising this like immaculate looking one, and it said starting at $180,000. And she's like, "Look, they're affordable." And I just started laughing. Like, you call them and price out the one in the picture, and it was like $550 for the one in the picture.
The 180 is still on the ground.
Right. Yeah. That's like the foundation for that thing. We'll pour the foundation and frame it for 180.
Yeah, I literally want like 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, and then have the rest boat storage or storage.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Well, hey boys, let's hit our last cast. Devin just got back. He's staring at me. I don't blame him. There's some stranger sitting in one of his chairs. Well, what do you got, Ryan?
Well, I am 1 month away from going full time.
That's awesome.
I cannot wait. I kind of had a shitty job today where I had like 3 inches of 40-year-old dust covering my body. And I'm over it. I'm ready to hit the water. I'm ready to do the animal control full time. And I cannot wait for May 1st.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, sir.
I'll keep trying to send trips to you, and anybody listening wants to get on the water, Ryan's the guy to get a hold of. Yeah,
let's get out. We can do some channel cat trips or some flathead trips, or I even got some crappie spots that would be fun to hit up. Especially if you're going to bring some kids, we can go out and hammer on some crappie and some smallmouth.
That'd be a good one, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, what do you got, bud?
I just want to start by saying appreciate everybody tuning in and supporting not only me, but, both of these guys here. We appreciate everything y'all do. And to you guys, you might be idiots, but you're also my friends. So,
and
I fit both those comments quite well.
Yeah, you're stuck with us, I guess.
So I appreciate y'all, and Spencer, appreciate you inviting me to be on the podcast again, and tight lines.
Yeah, you need to work on your secretary skills, by the way, because Bobby's job was to bring in another guest, and you can see that He didn't bring in another guest.
I got you one for next week.
You did. All right. You're okay. Well, thanks everybody who took the time to watch, listen. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll do at least one more before we wrap her up for the Midwest Flathead season. Just because Bobby got a guest for next week, but I'll probably be doing it by campfire. I hope I have reception because I'm going to be on one of the biggest kayak floats I've ever done in the absolute middle of nowhere.
Awesome.
So if there's no podcast next week, either I got eaten by an alligator or I have no reception. One of the two.
Hopefully it's the first one.
Yeah. Well, you can bank on if I got eaten by an alligator, the alligator died in the process.
That's right. Killed him from the inside.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.